Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Dave Zangaro and then John McMullen.
Hey, Nick. Good
Hey,
afternoon.
Dave.
How'd you find out the news that Shaq Leonard was signing with you guys? And realistically, how much can he help you down the stretch?
Yeah, just found out through Howie and I talked earlier today. We're obviously really excited about that, and we just feel like he adds that depth to our team that with some of the injuries that we've had there, and he adds some depth to that team. With that being said, I did think Christian Ellis played a good game yesterday, but he just gives us some more depth there through a place where we've had some injuries, unfortunate injuries.
Go ahead, John, and then Jeff.
Hey, Nick. And now that you've gotten to look at the film a little bit, they had a lot of yards after catch, which typically they're very good at, but typically you guys don't struggle that much. What did you see when you reviewed it?
Yeah, they did a good job of getting their guys some balls in space. Like, if, for instance, I thought that was a really good call by Kyle. We were in a 4-minute mode of trying to get to the quarterback, trying to create some confusion in the run game, and Kyle called the screen to Debo in that scenario. Hats off that, and they got us as far as, we're trying to sell out for the run, and they got us on a screen. So first of all, that happened, and which was accounted for a lot of the yards. And then I think it was just some uncharacteristic missed tackles. And so when a tackle is kind of like when you drop a ball, right? And I'll put it on an offensive analogy. Like when you drop a ball, the analogy isn't just, or the coaching point isn't to say catch it, right? You tell them how to catch it, right? What went wrong, and so there were some fundamental things, whether it was us lunging at guys that were that are good with the ball in their hands. I think that happened a couple times. We didn't run up to the guy and break our feet down a couple times. We call that long stride, short stride. That happened a couple times, and it was just some uncharacteristic missed tackles by us, because in general, we're a top 10 team as far as missed tackle percentages. And so it was just a couple fundamental things we did. And then, like I said, Kyle did a really nice job of calling some plays in the right moments that got him some big yards as well.
Thanks, Nick.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Rube.
Nick, several players, James Bradbury among them, mentioned how some of the defensive calls had put the players in tough spots, and then they talked a lot about the notions and pre-snap and at the snap motions. A lot of which, everyone really knows about Shanahan's offense. So my question is, what could have been done in terms of the game plan coming in to combat against that?
I think it's just major thing is just making sure that our detail is on, and hey, here's the job requirement for this if this look happens, and that if that look happens. It not necessarily is the answer to say do more, right? When you get a team that does a lot of different things like that with emotions and stuff like that, it's to make sure that everyone's on the same page at all times. And that's our job as coaches, to make sure that the job description is very clear. Here's what we do against the Y motion. Here's what we do against the F motion. Here's what we do against the F motion, return back. Here's what we do against the F motion and speed, hitting like a jet motion. Here's what we do with a little short motion or a shift, right? And so the answer, sometimes the answer is to add this wrinkle or add that wrinkle, but against a team that does a lot like that, it's just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And I think that's where we just didn't do a good enough job of just making sure everyone was on the same page as far as, hey, all the little different things to the different motions that they could do. And so we just have to put the players in better positions to succeed. And when I say that, like, I knew what the plan was. I knew what we were going through. So that's not by any means anything at Sean, right? That's me. I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, hey, well, maybe this was too much here in this one. We got to describe this out a little bit more here. And so I just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. When there's a mistake like that, that falls on the head coach, right? And I know, and so that falls on me. And so we'll be better from that. And again, it's just cleaning up some of the job description things that we know we need to get better at.
We'll go to Rube and then Tim.
Hey Nick,
Rube.
when you look at the defense's performance yesterday, do you see it as kind of an isolated game that you can flush, or a sign of maybe some issues that have been masked over the last few weeks because you had won games when maybe the defense wasn't at its best?
You know, we feel like we need to play and coach better on that side of the ball. There's no doubt about it, and we feel like we need to play and coach better on the offensive side of the ball. I think special teams is doing a really nice job in a lot of things that they're doing. And we don't live in that world of like, well, we won this mask that. I think that can mask it sometimes in the outside world and in the media. But we don't live like that here. Like we address all problems. Like, in fact, you can get after guys even harsher and better after a win than you can after a loss. Like, so nobody, like, not offended by the question, Rube, but nobody lives. I definitely don't live that way, and our coaches definitely don't live that way, and our players most especially don't live that way, to say, hey, here's a mistake that happened, but brush that aside just because we won. No, we're going to attack that every time. But to the question that you had to answer, the question you just asked, we know we got to get better on the offense and defensive side of the football, and clean up some of the mistakes that we've made. And yesterday wasn't good enough on either side of the ball, and obviously that's where we were on the lopsided end of a loss.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Zach.
Hey Nick, what was behind the lack of the running game when things were still when the game was still in hand, or close, and why was it the right decision to have Gainwell outpace Swift in snaps?
Well, to answer that second part of it first, like, Kenny's been our 2-minute back. Kenny's been our third down back in certain situations. And so your first question, I thought, as far as why were we not in the run game or in that meaningful part of the game, I think where Kenny has more plays than DeAndre is when it turns into those situations. So we had a lot of those situations at the end, which lead to those numbers being like that. But as far as the run game, we know we have to establish the run game. We know we have to be better in the run game. And that's we just have to be have things that where you get on the positive side. There was a couple times where we got behind the sticks. That doesn't mean you still can't run it in that situation. But we got to be better as coaches, devoting ourselves to the run game to take pressure off everybody. And so, so as we looked at it yesterday, there's no doubt that we got to do that. But part of the circumstance of the game led to the other things with DeAndre not playing as much as Kenny. But we know to get to where we want to go. And really all we think about is this next game, but we have to be better in the run game, and get more runs called, to take some pressure off everybody. So yeah, we got to do better there.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Chris.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. You have a lot of connections in that Indy building. What work did you do, or what sense do you have of why it did not work out with Shaq Leonard there this year, and why do you think it's going to be different here?
Yeah, obviously have a great relationship with a lot of people over there in Indy, and a great relationship with Shaq. And so we're confident in the player we're getting. We're confident in the person we're getting. And that's not as, sometimes it's different because you're secondhand asking guys questions about somebody, and you ask the people that like, if I had never been in Indy, I'd still ask Shane, hey, what do you think? How can he help us? This and that. Well, I get to ask Shane that question. I get to ask, some of their defensive coaches that question that I've worked with before, and I have my own feel of how the player is, right? And not just me. I remember when I was FaceTiming him last week. I'm like, I was talking to him, and then I put the phone on Marcus Brady, and Marcus started talking to him. Then I put the phone on Jason Michael, and Jason started talking to him. Then I put the camera on Kevin Patullo, and Kevin started talking to him, right? And so, we all have that relationship with him as a player. And so, again, we know we're getting the right person, right leader, right, with all that. And we still have confidence and from the tape that he still can play. And he's been a high level player in this league for a very long time. 18 his first year in. And so, that's a long time to be a high level 3-time All-Pro player. And so still has a knack to take the ball away, still has that knack to run and hit the ball carrier, still has that length that he had, to make throws hard in the passing lane. So excited about the player we're getting. I don't want to make any mistake about it. I like our linebackers, and I know yesterday was a tough day for us, but I still have a lot of faith in the linebackers and the people that we have in the building. It's just going to be a good addition for us with Shaq in this building.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Martin.
Hey, afternoon, Nick.
Hey, Chris.
Given when it comes to Shaq, do you think given his experience prior playing this league, do you feel like he'll be ready to play on Sunday against the Cowboys? And do you also feel that whatever you guys been able to do to help a lot of these veterans get ready, prepared for things such as, like, say, Zach Cunningham or some of the other guys you signed mid-season?
Yeah, every position's a little different, Chris. Every scenario is a little different. Every game plan's a little different. We'll see. And I don't want to put an expectation on them without letting him be here in the building for a little bit. I'll have a better feel for that. I know how smart Shaq is and how much he works at it. I know our coaches will work hard at it as well to get him up to speed. But like I said, some game plans have less in them, and some game plans have more in them. The style of the team you're playing, all those, the player, how the player gets. There's so many different things that go into it. We'll have a better feel as the week goes, but we're going to try to get them up to speed as quick as possible.
Go ahead, Martin, and then Brooks.
I'm sorry, say me?
Yeah, you, Martin.
Okay. Hey, Dick.
Hey, Martin.
I wanted to ask you about Jalen. Obviously, he missed the 5 snaps to, get examined for the concussion. And he's kind of missed a game, games here and there over the past few years. But, did that kind of, bring back the reality of just, how important he is, to have him out there, no matter what's going on and everything? I mean, did you kind of get a sense of that yesterday?
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in Marcus and the thing, and that he's a great backup quarterback for us. Obviously Jalen's our guy, and anytime he's not out there, you're concerned, right? Because of how good Jalen's been and the type of player he is. But again, that happens in this game, so I wouldn't say there was any sort of concern as far as I just feel like anytime one of your best players is out, you think about that and you plan accordingly like that. But he was ready to go in 5 plays, so I don't think it had a lasting effect on us to say. Did I answer your question, Martin? I'm sorry, I don't know if I've answered your question completely. I got you. I saw you nod your head. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brooks, and then Jimmy.
Yeah, Nick, you were mentioning about how you were saying you had confidence in Shaq in the tape that he can still play. You mentioned a few of those things specific to him in pass coverage. What were some of the things that you saw? Was it through things last week in y'all's visit? I mean, what things do you see in that specific to pass coverage for him?
With Shaq?
Yes.
Oh man, he's got a knack for the football, and that's something that isn't just my vision of watching him play recently, but also the practice reps I have against him, that I've been against him, not me, but our offense has been against him. And so him in pass coverage, his length is, and his instinct is really outstanding. I think that one of the, and he got a nose for the ball. I remember a play in 2019 where he showed blitz. It was at Tampa Bay. He showed blitz, and then he backed up out of the blitz, and they run some sort of slant route over the middle, and he got his hands on the ball and made a catch like a receiver would, and then took it to the house for 60-some yards. Y'all can look up exactly what it was. And I remember him after that saying, Coach, I played receiver too. And showed me a post he ran at, I think at South Carolina State. I don't think it was high school, but showed me a post route that he ran at South Carolina State where he made a really nice play. I remember watching that and saying, man, we probably could put him in there on a post. But it's just his length, his instinct, his ability to finish on the ball. And those are special qualities that he's had for a long time. That length is hard to throw around, both horizontally and vertically, right? And so, like, I have a vision of him at practice where we ran an RPO, and he gave us a pull read, right, on the RPO, and then boom, he sprinted back the other way and got his hand on the ball. And remember, Philip Rivers like, man, he gave me a pull read. I go, I know, it was just an unbelievable play of what he just did. And it goes back to, again, his instinct and his length. And so, looking forward to his addition to the team.
Go ahead, Jimmy, and then Bob.
Hey, Nick. I was just thinking back to last year. You had praised Miles for the way that he attacked an underthrown deep ball. I believe it was in the Colts game.
Yeah.
And I was just curious if you were happy with the way that Quez attacked the underthrown ball by Jalen against the Niners.
Which, refresh me on. Oh, that one. Slightly different play, Jimmy. Slightly different coaching point. So Miles was running a go route, and then it turned into a scramble, and it was falling over his inside shoulder. So the sideline was, as you see me pushing, his sideline was to Miles's right. The ball was coming over Miles's left shoulder. And so that's the one where we like to teach, hey, step back into him and play through the ball, or slow down and let it fall over your inside shoulder and let the defender run through your back. And that is where I think it was Zaire Franklin ran through his back on that one. And we ended up, he did a great job of slowing down and doing that. Smitty had a very similar catch against Kansas City where he kind of slowed himself down right there. This was more of a jump ball, in my opinion, Jimmy, which was a little bit different because it wasn't like that was the type of ball where it was, because it was on a corner route now. So it's slightly different of where the defender was coming. So on the go balls, right, the defender was behind the guy, right? And so he had to slow down to do that. So it was a slightly different technique that you teach. On this one, it was a corner, and the safety was out of it, and it was a corner route, and the corner was coming back. So it was just slightly different angle and everything like that. And you just teach them to high point it in that particular case. The guy made a good play. I wouldn't teach the technique any differently to Quez. I think in that scenario, the guy just made a good play. I guess what I'm saying to you is it's just not the same fundamental because of the route, because of the way the DB's coming back on it. It's a slightly different fundamental of how you would catch that football. In that case, Quez did exactly what I thought he should do. Credit to number 20 for making a play on that ball.
Okay, thanks.
We have time for two more, so we'll go to Bob and then Bo.
Hey, I'm just curious. The play, the two brotherly shove plays at the end of the touchdown drive. Obviously, last week Jordan Phillips had to play. Kind of concerning. Jason said what he said about that. On those two plays, if you look at the first one at the end of the play, Chase Young's kind of grabbing Jalen after the play is over, grabbing him by the horse collar, and then on the touchdown, I think it was Ward that shoved AJ at the end of the play. Is there concern that frustration from these other teams is going to lead to maybe one of your guys getting hurt because these guys are frustrated?
So what Chase Young did was legal. If you look at the rules, anything inside the tackle box, 3 yards from the line of scrimmage and 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, they're allowed to yank a horse collar. So I don't take any, like, he's just trying to make a play to keep Jalen out of the end zone. That and then the other one, we've had that same thing happen if you look back at in the Super Bowl, that same thing happened with Zach Pascal and I want to say McDuffie or somebody. They got into that they just got into that little pushing match there. It's very similar to what happened with Ward and AJ. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm really not. I think the players in this league do a good job of playing their butts off, but also, they know that the livelihood of the players. And I don't think anyone's trying to do anything cheap out there. I really don't. And so, like I said, with Chase Young, that's a perfectly legal play, and you're going to get some of the back and forth on the, on the touchdown there with AJ and Ward on that one. you know, that's part of football. So no concern on my end there.
And the one other thing I want to ask you is, did you apologize to Kyle after the game? There was some talk about that, I guess, about the Dom incident.
Yeah, we just talked after the game, and anytime you just always are going through it, and just it was really more so to say to Kyle, you know, we respect you guys and respect your team, and so yeah, that was what that was about.
Thank you.
Last one here with Bo.
Hey, Nick, not to belabor that, but there was a report about the league looking into that incident on the sideline. Just curious if you've heard from the league and also what Dom's reaction today has been to sort of being such a public figure.
No, I haven't heard anything from the league. You know, Dom is as good as they get in this business. And I'm so thankful for him. You know, his natural, he's going to always to try to diffuse situations, right? That's what he does. That's his job. And so, you know, obviously unfortunate yesterday, but you know, I know it in Dom's heart. He truly was trying to diffuse the situation right there. I'm sad that it came to, you know, what it came to, that anybody got thrown out of the game, because, you know, the play was what it was, right? There was a lot of emotion in that game. And again, I know I've seen Dom have to do that before, where he's trying to, you know, diffuse the situation. That's what he does. And, you know, again, so, but yeah, I know where Dom's heart is in that, and it is truly to diffuse the situation and you know, to stop what was going on the sideline.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.